Commander Zixthor stepped off the transport ship and looked at the massive training complex before him. The Galactic Combat Institute on planet Vex 7 was famous across known space. For 500 years, the best warriors from every species came here to train. Zixthor himself had graduated from this place 70 years ago. He was proud of that fact. Very few could say they completed the Institute's program. Today he was here for a different reason. The Galactic Council had accepted a new species into their community. These newcomers called themselves humans. They came from a planet called Earth, located in a quiet arm of the galaxy that most people ignored. Zixthor's job was simple. Watch these humans train. See if they were worthy of being here. Report back to his superiors he was not impressed so far. Humans looked weak. They stood only 6 feet tall on average. His own species, the Krathians, were 7 feet tall with thick scales and powerful muscles. Humans had soft skin and thin bones. They looked fragile, like they might break if you pushed them too hard. War Master Threk walked beside him. The old Krathian warrior had trained at this institute for 40 years. He knew every building, every training ground, every test they would face. Threk had personally requested to join this assessment mission. He wanted to see these humans for himself. Ambassador Kelvara met them at the entrance. She was a Velsharan, a diplomatic species known for their patience and wisdom. Her silver skin reflected the morning sun as she bowed in greeting. "Welcome, Commander Zixthor," she said with a gentle voice. "The humans arrived 3 days ago. They have been eager to begin their formal training." 3 days? Zixthor raised his scaled eyebrow. "And they have not started yet?" Kelvara smiled. "Oh, they started immediately. What I meant was they arrived 3 days ago and have been training since then. They asked permission to begin early. We gave it to them," Threk grunted. "Eager ones." "That is good. Where are they now?" "Follow me," Kelvara said. She led them through the main complex, past buildings where other species were training in various combat techniques. They heard the clash of weapons, the shouts of instructors, the sounds of warriors pushing themselves to their limits. They reached the outdoor training field. Kelvara pointed to the far end where a group of humans were running. Not sprinting, just running at a steady pace. They wore heavy packs on their backs and carried weapons in their hands. Their uniforms were soaked with sweat. Zixthor watched them for a moment. This is their training, running. Any child can run. They have been running for 2 hours, Kelvara said quietly. Threk looked closer. 2 hours was impressive, but not extraordinary. Krathian warriors could run for 2 hours if needed, though usually they would be exhausted afterward. A human in different uniform jogged over to them. He was shorter than Zixthor, but moved with confidence. His face was red from exertion, but he was smiling. He stopped in front of them and gave a salute. "Good morning. Lieutenant Jake Morrison, United Earth Forces. You must be our observers from the Galactic Council. Welcome to our training session." Zixthor nodded. "I am Commander Zixthor. This is War Master Threk. We are here to assess your capabilities." Jake smiled wider. "Great. We are happy to show you what we can do. Sorry if we are not much to look at right now. We are still on our morning warm-up." "Warm-up?" Threk rumbled. "You have been running for 2 hours." "Yes, sir. We are on mile 15 of our 25-mile run. Should be done in about another hour and a half. Then we will move to strength training and combat drills." Jake said this like it was the most normal thing in the world. Zixthor stared at him. 25 miles? You run 25 miles every morning?" "Oh, no, sir. This is just what we do on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we do a shorter run. Only 12 miles. But we add more weight to our packs on those days. Saturdays are for long distance. We did 35 miles last Saturday. Sundays we rest, but we still do light exercise. Maybe just 5 or 6 miles with some swimming." The 3 observers stood in silence. Even Kelvara, who rarely showed surprise, looked confused. "You run these distances every single day?" Threk asked slowly. "Yes, sir. This is basic conditioning. We have been doing this since we were recruits. Some of us have been running like this for 10 or 15 years now. It keeps us sharp." Another human jogged over. She was smaller than Jake, but moved with the same easy confidence. "Jake, we are starting lap 16. You coming?" "Be right there, Lisa." Jake turned back to the observers. "That is Sergeant Lisa Grant. She specializes in survival training. If you want to follow us on the run, you are welcome to, or you can wait here and we will be back in about 90 minutes. Before anyone could answer, Jake jogged back to his group. He fell into formation with them and they continued running. Their pace never changed, steady, relentless, like machines that would never stop. "This is not normal," Zixthor said. "No species runs like this. It serves no purpose in combat." "Perhaps we should observe longer," Kelvara suggested. "I have been watching them for 3 days. They do many things that seem strange at first." They found a shaded area and sat down to watch. The humans completed their run exactly as Jake had said. 3.5 hours of continuous running. When they finished, they were sweating heavily, but none of them collapsed. None of them looked ready to quit. They drank water, stretched their muscles, and moved to the next training area. The next area had various obstacles. Walls to climb, ropes to swing from, barriers to jump over. The humans moved through these obstacles as a group. When one person struggled, others helped them. When someone fell, the whole group stopped and made sure they were okay before continuing. "They are slow on the obstacles," Zixthor noted. "A Krathian warrior would finish that course in half the time." "Look at their equipment," Threk said, pointing. "Those packs they carry. They look heavy." Kelvara checked her datapad. "According to their training logs, each pack weighs 60 pounds, plus their weapons and body armor. Total weight carried is approximately 90 pounds per person." 90 pounds? Zixthor was starting to feel confused. Why would they carry so much weight during training? "I asked them that yesterday," Kelvara replied. "Lieutenant Morrison said they are adjusting to the lighter gravity here. Vex 7 has 0.8 gravity compared to their homeworld. They wear weights to prevent their bones from weakening." This made Zixthor pause. 0.8 gravity was considered standard across most of the galaxy. Most inhabited planets had gravity between 0.7 and 0.9. It was rare to find worlds with higher gravity. They were usually classified as difficult to colonize. "What is Earth's gravity?" he asked. Kelvara tapped her pad. "According to their planetary data, Earth has 1.2 gravity." 1.2? Threk looked at the humans with new interest. "That is very high. I have only been to 2 worlds with gravity that strong. Both were mining colonies. Very few species can live comfortably in such conditions." They continued watching. After the obstacle course, the humans moved to weapons training. They practiced with rifles, pistols, and knives. Their accuracy was good. Not exceptional, but solid. What impressed the observers was how long they trained. Hour after hour, never stopping, never complaining. When afternoon came, the humans ate lunch. Simple food, nothing special. They sat in groups and talked while they ate. They laughed and joked with each other. Then they went back to training. "Do they ever rest?" Zixthor asked. "They rest at night," Kelvara said. 8 hours of sleep. Then they wake up and start again." The afternoon session included combat practice. Humans paired up and fought hand to hand. They wore protective gear, but the hits were real. Zixthor watched a smaller human woman throw a larger human man to the ground. The man got up, laughed, and they continued fighting. "They are not afraid of pain," Threk observed. "Look at how hard they hit each other. Those blows would crack Krathian scales. Yet they smile while doing it," Kelvara added softly. As the sun began to set, Jake jogged over to them again. He was dirty and bruised from the day's training, but still looked energetic. "What did you think of our first day, Commander?" he asked cheerfully. "First day?" Zixthor repeated. "You train like this every day?" "Yes, sir. This was actually a light day for us. We are still adjusting to the new environment. Give us another week or 2 and we will be back to full intensity." "Full intensity," Threk said slowly. "What you did today was not full intensity?" Jake scratched his head, looking a bit embarrassed. "Well, no, sir. We have been taking it easy because we are in a new place. Back on Earth, we would include more live fire exercises, longer distance runs, and heavier strength training. But we did not want to damage any of the Institute's facilities before we knew what they could handle." The 3 observers looked at each other. None of them knew what to say. "Tell me, Lieutenant," Kelvara said carefully. "What was your training like when you first became a soldier?" Jake smiled at the memory. "Basic training was 12 weeks. We ran every day, started with 3 miles and worked up to 10. We did strength exercises, obstacle courses, combat drills. We learned how to shoot, how to navigate, how to survive in different environments. It was tough but good. Made me who I am today." "And after basic training?" Threk asked. "Then I went to advanced infantry school. That was 20 weeks. More." The environmental challenge dome rose up like a giant metal egg. It was the pride of the Galactic Combat Institute. Inside, the dome could create any environment found in known space. Frozen tundra, burning desert, toxic swamps, high-altitude mountains. The dome tested warriors in ways that regular training never could. Commander Zixthor stood outside the dome with War Master Threk and Ambassador Kelvara. They had arrived early this morning to watch the humans attempt the warrior gauntlet. The gauntlet was a special program that cycled through multiple environments over several hours. It was designed to break even the strongest warriors. The current record was 6 hours. A Krathian warrior named Vorshak had set it 30 years ago. He became a legend for that achievement. After 6 hours in the gauntlet, Vorshak had collapsed and needed 2 days of medical treatment to recover. No one had beaten his record since. Jake Morrison arrived with 2 other humans, a young man named Danny Webb and a woman named Kate Holland. Both were corporals in the human military. They looked excited rather than nervous. "Good morning, Commander," Jake said with his usual cheerful tone. "Are we ready to try out this dome? My team has been talking about it all week. You understand what the gauntlet involves?" Zixthor asked. "It is not a simple test. Many warriors fail within the first hour." Danny grinned. "Sounds like good training, sir. We are ready whenever you are." Threk activated the dome controls. The program will start with extreme heat. Temperature will reach 50 degrees Celsius, high humidity, limited water. You must complete an obstacle course in these conditions. When you finish, the environment will change. You will have 5 minutes to adapt before the next challenge begins. "How long does the program last?" Kate asked. "As long as you can survive it," Threk replied. "Most warriors quit after 2 hours. The very best might last 4. The record is 6 hours, but I do not expect you to reach that on your first attempt." The 3 humans looked at each other. Jake shrugged. "Well, let us see how far we can get. Ready, team?" Danny and Kate nodded. They entered the dome together. The door sealed behind them with a heavy clang. Monitors showed what was happening inside. The temperature began climbing immediately. The humans started moving through the obstacle course. Within minutes, they were soaked in sweat. The heat was oppressive. The obstacles required climbing, jumping, crawling through mud. It looked miserable, yet the humans kept moving. They helped each other over walls. They encouraged each other through difficult sections. They never stopped talking to each other. After 30 minutes, Kelvara checked her instruments. Their body temperatures are elevated but stable. Heart rates are high but not dangerous. They are handling the heat well. At the 1-hour mark, the environment changed. Suddenly, the heat vanished. The temperature dropped to -20 Celsius. Snow began falling. Ice covered the obstacles. The humans barely paused. They pulled out jackets from their packs and kept moving. They came prepared, Threk noted with approval. The cold phase lasted another hour. The humans moved slower but never stopped. Their breath came out in clouds of vapor. Ice formed on their eyebrows and clothing. But they pushed through it. At 2 hours, the environment changed again, this time to high altitude. The oxygen level dropped significantly. Most species would feel dizzy and weak at this altitude. The humans slowed down even more. Their breathing became labored. But still they moved forward. Zixthor was impressed despite himself. 2 hours is better than most warriors achieve. They should be proud. "I do not think they plan to stop," Kelvara said, watching the monitors closely. She was right. At 3 hours, the humans were still going. The environment changed to a toxic swamp. They had to wade through thick mud while breathing through filters. It looked exhausting. Yet they continued. At 4 hours, more observers began arriving. Word had spread through the Institute that humans were attempting the gauntlet. Warriors from various species came to watch. They stood in silence as the monitors showed the humans still moving, still fighting, still refusing to quit. At 5 hours, even Threk looked surprised. "In 40 years, I have only seen a handful reach this point. These humans are exceptional." At 6 hours, the humans matched the record. The environment changed to a sandstorm. Wind whipped sand into their faces. Visibility dropped to almost nothing. They linked arms to stay together and pushed into the storm. The observers watched in stunned silence. No one spoke. No one moved. All eyes were on the monitors. At 7 hours, the humans were moving slower, but still moving. Danny stumbled at one point. Kate and Jake immediately helped him up. They gave him water and some food from their packs. After a brief rest, they continued. At 8 hours, something unprecedented happened. Jake's voice came through the communication system. "Hey, is anyone listening out there?" Threk activated his microphone. "We are here, Lieutenant Morrison." Are you ready to stop? You have performed admirably. 8 hours is far beyond expectations. Oh no, sir, we are not ready to stop. We were just wondering how much longer the program runs. We are just getting warmed up and want to know if we should pace ourselves differently. Every observer turned to stare at the monitors. Just getting warmed up? After 8 hours? Threck cleared his throat. The program can run indefinitely, Lieutenant. It continues until you choose to stop. Understood. Thanks, sir. We will keep going for a while then. This is actually pretty good training. Jake sounded genuinely happy. Sixth Thor looked at Kelvara. Pretty good training? She shook her head slowly. I am beginning to understand we know very little about humans. At 9 hours, more warriors arrived to watch. The viewing area was getting crowded. Everyone wanted to see the humans who would not stop. Who could not be broken. At 10 hours, Danny requested permission to speak. Sir, this is Corporal Webb. Quick question. Is there any way to make the environments harder? Not trying to be disrespectful, but we are used to training in Earth gravity. This lighter gravity is making everything easier than we expected. A murmur ran through the crowd of observers. Make it harder? After 10 hours? Threck looked at the controls. I can increase the difficulty of the obstacles, and I can add some simulated gravity to your equipment to make it heavier. Would that be acceptable? Yes, sir, that would be great. Thank you. Threck made the adjustments. The obstacles became more complex. The humans' equipment began weighing more, pulling them down. It should have stopped them, should have forced them to quit. Instead, they adapted. They moved a bit slower, but with the same determination. The same refusal to quit. At 11 hours, Sergeant Lisa Grant arrived in the viewing area. She had been running training exercises with other human units. She walked up to Zixthor. Commander, I heard Jake and his team are in the dome. How are they doing? They have been in there for 11 hours, Zixthor said quietly. They show no signs of stopping. Lisa smiled with pride. That sounds about right. Jake was always stubborn, in a good way. He never quits anything he starts. You do not seem surprised, Kelvara observed. Surprised? No, ma'am. This is pretty standard for special operations soldiers. We train them to operate for 24 to 48 hours continuously during missions. 11 hours is good, but they are probably not even tired yet. The crowd of observers had grown silent. 48 hours? That was impossible. No living being could function for 2 days without rest. You cannot be serious, Zixthor said. Completely serious, sir. During my advanced training, I went 60 hours without sleep. We were on a survival exercise in the mountains. Had to evade capture while completing objectives. I was exhausted by the end, but I made it. About 70% of my class made it. The ones who did not were removed from the program. Threck turned to face her fully. Tell me, Sergeant, what makes a human capable of such things? What is different about your species? Lisa thought for a moment. I think it is how we evolved, sir. Humans are persistence hunters. Thousands of years ago, before we had advanced weapons, we hunted by chasing our prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. We would track an animal for hours, sometimes days. The animal would run away. We would follow. It would run again. We would follow again. Eventually, the animal would be too tired to run anymore. Then we would catch it. She pointed at the monitors. That is what you see in that dome. Humans who refuse to stop. We may not be the fastest. We may not be the strongest. But we can outlast almost anything. It is in our blood. In our bones. We do not know how to quit. At 12 hours, the Institute staff became concerned. The dome was not designed to run this long continuously. They worried about equipment failure. At 13 hours, Kate's voice came through the speakers. How are we doing on time, sir? Do you need the dome for other training soon? We do not want to hog the equipment, Threck responded. You are not hogging anything, Corporal Holland, but I am curious. How much longer do you think you can continue? Honestly, sir, we could probably go another 5 or 6 hours comfortably, maybe 10 if we really pushed it. But if you need the dome, we can stop now. We got a good workout in. A good workout. 13 hours was a good workout. Zixthor made a decision. Lieutenant Morrison, I think you have proven your point. You may exit the dome now. Your performance has been extraordinary. Understood, sir. Shutting down now. The dome powered down. The door opened. The 3 humans walked. The medical research wing of the Galactic Combat Institute was usually quiet. Today it was full of activity. Scientists and doctors from various species crowded around monitors and examination tables. They were all there for one reason. To understand humans, Dr. Chen Lu stood at the center of the room. She was human, trained in both human and alien medicine. She had volunteered to explain human physiology to the bewildered researchers. Next to her stood Captain Alex Carter, an armor specialist who had agreed to demonstrate human capabilities. Commander Zixthor was there with War Master Threk and Ambassador Kelvara. Also present was Science Elder Mortek, a Velsharan biologist who had studied hundreds of species over his long life. He was particularly interested in humans after watching the dome exercise yesterday. "Thank you all for coming," Dr. Liu began. "I understand you have questions about human biology. I will do my best to answer them. Where would you like to start?" Mortek stepped forward. He was old even by Velsharan standards. His skin had turned almost pure silver with age. "Dr. Liu, I have examined the data from yesterday's dome exercise. The results are confusing. Human bone density is 40% higher than galactic average. Muscle fiber composition is unique. Cardiovascular efficiency is extraordinary, yet you evolved on a planet classified as a death world. Usually, death worlds produce species that are aggressive but short-lived. Humans seem different," Dr. Liu nodded. "You are correct, Science Elder. Earth is harsh by galactic standards. 1.2 gravity, dangerous predators, extreme climate variations, disease, natural disasters. To survive, humans had to become adaptable. We evolved to handle stress, physical and mental. Our bodies are built for endurance rather than speed or strength alone." She pulled up a holographic display showing human anatomy. "Our bones are dense because of the high gravity. Our muscles have a unique balance of fast twitch and slow twitch fibers. This gives us good speed for short bursts, but also allows sustained exertion over long periods. Most species have one or the other. Humans have both." "What about temperature regulation?" another researcher asked. "Humans sweat. This is unusual. Yes, sweating is one of our most important adaptations. Humans can regulate body temperature very efficiently. We can operate in extreme heat or cold. When we overheat, we sweat. The evaporation cools us down. This allowed our ancestors to hunt during the hottest part of the day, when other predators were resting. It gave us an advantage." Zixthor raised his hand. "Doctor, I have noticed humans carry heavy equipment during training. Yesterday you mentioned it was because of the lighter gravity here. Can you explain?" "Of course, Commander. Vex 7 has 0.8 gravity. Earth has 1.2 gravity. That is a significant difference. If humans train in low gravity without compensation, our bones and muscles weaken. We lose density and strength, so we wear weights to simulate Earth gravity. It keeps our bodies healthy." Threk looked at Captain Carter. "You are wearing weights now?" Alex smiled. "Yes, sir. I have a weighted vest under my uniform. Adds about 50 pounds. All the humans here wear them during daily activities. We only remove them for special exercises or demonstrations." 50 pounds. Zixthor was shocked. "You wear 50 pounds of extra weight all the time?" "Yes, sir. Some of us wear more depending on our size and strength. I am on the lighter side. Lieutenant Morrison wears 65 pounds. Sergeant Grant wears 55. We adjust based on what feels right." The observers looked at each other. Everything they had seen, every impressive feat had been performed by humans carrying extra weight. What would humans be capable of without those weights? Zixthor voiced the question everyone was thinking. "Captain Carter, would you be willing to demonstrate your capabilities without the weighted vest?" Alex glanced at Dr. Liu. She nodded. "Just for a short time. And be careful. The low gravity can be disorienting when you first remove the weights." Alex began removing his vest. It took a moment because it was built into his uniform. When he finally pulled it off, he held it up for everyone to see. The vest was compact but clearly heavy. He set it down on a table. The table creaked under the weight. "Okay," Alex said, rolling his shoulders. "What would you like me to do?" "The obstacle course outside," Threk suggested. "The same one your team used 2 days ago. I want to see how your time compares." They moved to the outdoor training area. The obstacle course was set up and ready. Other humans were training nearby, but they stopped to watch when they saw Alex preparing to run the course. This course was designed for Krathian warriors, Threk explained to the crowd that was gathering. The current record is 4 minutes and 12 seconds. Most species complete it in 6 to 8 minutes. 2 days ago, the humans completed it in 7 minutes while wearing their weighted vests. Alex stretched briefly. Ready when you are, sir. Threk activated the timer. Go, Alex exploded forward. There was no other word for it. He moved with speed that seemed impossible. He reached the first wall, a 12-foot barrier, and went over it like it was nothing. He landed and immediately sprinted to the next obstacle. The rope climb 30 feet straight up took him seconds. His arms pulled him up so fast he was almost flying. At the top, he grabbed the bar, swung across to another rope, and slid down without hesitation. The balance beam, narrow and elevated, should have required careful movement. Alex ran across it at full speed, his feet barely seeming to touch the beam. Through the tunnel crawl, over the cargo net, under the barbed wire, through the water obstacle. Alex moved like a force of nature, unstoppable, relentless, beautiful in his efficiency. He crossed the finish line and Threk stopped the timer. For a moment, no one spoke. Threk looked at the timer, looked at Alex, looked at the timer again. 2 minutes and 47 seconds, Threk said quietly. The crowd erupted in disbelief. That was more than a minute faster than the Krathian record, and Alex had made it look easy. He was breathing hard but not gasping. He was tired but not exhausted. Zixthor walked up to Alex. You just broke a record that has stood for 20 years. A record set by one of the finest Krathian warriors ever trained. You broke it by a significant margin. Alex looked embarrassed. Sorry, sir. I did not mean to show off. I was just running the course. Just running the course, Zixthor repeated. He turned to face the assembled observers. Do you all understand what this means? Every human here has been training while carrying 50 to 65 pounds of extra weight. Everything we have seen them do, every accomplishment has been achieved while they were deliberately handicapped. Mortek approached Dr. Liu. I need to understand this better. May I run some tests? Nothing invasive. Just scans and measurements. Of course, Science Elder. I volunteer myself as a subject. They returned to the medical wing. Mortek ran every scan he could think of. Bone density, muscle composition, organ function, brain activity. The results fascinated him. Remarkable, he kept saying. Absolutely remarkable. Look at this cardiac efficiency. The human heart is incredibly strong. It has to be, to pump blood against 1.2 gravity. And the lung capacity. Humans can process oxygen more efficiently than most species. Kelvara was studying Earth's classification data. Dr. Liu, it says here that Earth has experienced 5 major extinction events. Events that wiped out most life on the planet. How did humans survive? We did not survive all of them, Dr. Liu explained. Humans as a species are relatively young, only about 200,000 years old. But our ancestors survived earlier extinction events. They did it by being adaptable. When the climate changed, they changed with it. When food became scarce, they found new food sources. When predators threatened them, they learned to fight back or run away or hide. Flexibility was the key to survival. What kind of predators did early humans face? Threk asked. Large cats, big enough to kill a human with one bite. Bears, wolves that hunted in packs. Crocodiles in the water. Even other primates that were larger and stronger than early humans. Earth was not a safe place. Humans were not apex predators for most of our history. We were prey. But you survived, Mortek said softly. You not only survived, you thrived. You became the dominant species on your planet. How? Dr. Liu thought carefully before answering. Tools, intelligence, cooperation. Humans learned to make weapons to defend themselves. We learned to use fire to cook food and scare away predators. We learned to build shelters. Most importantly, we learned to work together. A single human is vulnerable, but humans in groups are formidable. We protected each other, shared knowledge, taught our children. Each generation learned from the previous one and added to that knowledge. And the persistence hunting you mentioned before? Zixthor asked. How did that develop? Early humans were not fast enough to catch most prey animals, but we could track them, follow their trails, chase them for hours. The animal would run away quickly but then need to rest. Humans would catch up. The animal would run again. Humans would follow. Eventually, sometimes after a full day of chasing, the animal would be too exhausted to run anymore. Then humans could approach safely and make the kill. That sounds cruel, Kelvara said quietly. Perhaps, Dr. Liu agreed, but it was necessary for survival. Humans had to eat. This was one of the few hunting methods available to us. And the tactical training grounds were larger than the regular obstacle courses. Here, teams practiced working together under realistic combat conditions. Commander Zixthor arrived early with War Master Threk, Ambassador Kelvara, and Science Elder Mortek. They had also been joined by General Vexkarn, the highest-ranking officer at the Institute. General Vexkarn was a Talvorn, a species known for strategic brilliance. His people had won countless wars through superior tactics and planning. He rarely observed individual training sessions, but news of the humans had reached him. He wanted to see for himself. "I have reviewed the reports from the past 3 days," the general said. His voice was deep and measured. "Human individual capabilities are impressive, but individual strength means little in real warfare. Battles are won by coordinated forces, not lone heroes. Today I want to see how humans work as a team." A human squad arrived at the training ground. 4 people. Lieutenant Sam Porter was the squad leader. There was also Specialist Nina Flores, who handled communications and intelligence. Sergeant Ray Duncan specialized in weapons and demolitions. The 4th member was Corporal Danny Webb, who the observers remembered from the environmental dome. Sam approached the observers and saluted. "Good morning, General. Commanders, we are ready for the team exercise." "Good," General Vexkarn said. "The scenario is simple. You are a reconnaissance team behind enemy lines. Your mission is to gather intelligence on an enemy facility and extract without being detected. There are multiple guard patrols, sensor systems, and fortified positions. Most teams fail this exercise. Those who succeed usually take 6 to 8 hours. Do you understand?" "Understood, sir," Sam replied. "One question. Are we using live ammunition or training rounds?" "Training rounds," the general confirmed. "Everything is simulated, but the difficulty is real. If you are detected by guards, they will engage you. If you trigger sensors, reinforcements arrive. The goal is stealth and precision, not combat." Sam turned to his squad. "Standard recon procedure. Nina, you have point on sensors. Ray, watch for ambush positions. Danny, you are our eyes in the back. Keep formation tight. Questions?" The 3 squad members shook their heads. They looked calm, focused, ready. "Then let us do this," Sam said simply. The exercise began. The human squad moved into the training area, which was designed to look like a military facility. Buildings, walls, guard towers, and patrol routes, all monitored and controlled by the Institute's computers. What happened next shocked the observers. The humans moved like a single organism. When Sam made a hand signal, the others responded instantly. No hesitation, no confusion. They understood what to do without words. Nina studied her scanner and pointed to a sensor cluster. Ray immediately pulled out a small device and disabled it with practiced ease. Danny kept watch, his weapon ready, covering their rear. Sam coordinated everything with simple gestures. They moved through the training area like ghosts. When a patrol passed nearby, the humans melted into shadows. When sensors swept an area, they knew exactly when to move. They never spoke, never made unnecessary noise, just smooth, coordinated action. "Look at their spacing," Threk said quietly. "Each member is positioned to support the others. If one is attacked, the other 3 can immediately provide covering fire. They maintain this formation even while moving. Notice how they communicate," General Vexkarn added. "Hand signals, eye contact. They seem to know what each other is thinking. That level of coordination takes years to develop." The humans reached the main objective, a simulated command center. They needed to photograph specific documents and then escape. Nina pulled out a camera and began her work. The other 3 set up a defensive perimeter around her, each covering a different direction. Then something went wrong. A patrol changed routes unexpectedly. A guard was about to walk right into the human's position. Discovery seemed inevitable, but the humans adapted instantly. Danny made a small sound deliberately. The guard heard it and turned toward Danny's position. Ray immediately moved to flank the guard from another angle. Sam remained with Nina, ready to protect her. The guard investigated the noise, never seeing Danny, who had already moved. The guard returned to his patrol, reporting nothing unusual. "Did you see that?" Mortek asked with excitement. They created a distraction, repositioned, and avoided detection without a single word spoken. Just absolute trust in each other. Nina finished photographing the documents. She gave Sam a thumbs up. The squad began their extraction, moving back through the facility with the same precision they had used entering. They almost made it out clean. But near the exit, sensors detected Ray's movement. Alarms sounded. Virtual guards began converging on their position. The scenario had changed from stealth to escape and evasion. Again, the humans adapted without speaking. They shifted formation immediately. Ray and Danny moved to provide covering fire while Sam and Nina advanced toward the exit. Then Ray and Danny leapfrogged forward while Sam and Nina covered them. Back and forth, coordinated and precise. Virtual bullets flew around them. The humans took cover, returned fire, moved again. It looked like chaos, but it was actually carefully choreographed movement. Each person knew their role, knew where their teammates were, knew what to do without being told. They reached the exit point. Mission accomplished. Total time, 3 hours and 42 minutes. Less than half the average time, and they had completed it while under fire. The 4 humans regrouped outside the training area. They immediately began reviewing their performance. What went right? What went wrong? How they could improve. They were not celebrating. They were learning. General Vexkarn approached them. Lieutenant Porter, that was exceptional. I have seen this exercise attempted hundreds of times. You completed it faster than any team on record, and you did it while successfully escaping after being detected. Most teams fail once the alarm sounds. Sam looked pleased but modest. Thank you, General. We could have done better, though. We should not have been detected at all. Ray, next time be more careful with sensor shadows. Nina, good call on the distraction point. Danny, excellent rear security. We will run this again next week and improve our time. You want to do it again? Zixthor asked. You just set a new record. Records are meant to be broken, sir, Sam said with a smile. Besides, we learn more from repetition. Every time we run an exercise, we get better. That is the goal. Constant improvement. Kelvar had been watching the squad carefully. Lieutenant, may I ask you something? You and your team move together perfectly. How long have you been working as a unit? This particular squad? About 2 years, ma'am. But we all came from the same larger unit. We have known each other for 5 or 6 years. Trained together. Deployed together. Been through a lot together. What happens if one of you is injured? Mortek asked. Sam's expression turned serious. Then the rest of us adapt. We protect the injured member and complete the mission if possible. But the first priority is always to get everyone home. We never leave someone behind. Even if it means failing the mission? Threk asked. Even then, Sam confirmed. Missions can be retried. Lost soldiers cannot be replaced. Every person in my squad is valuable. Not just as a soldier, but as a person, a friend, family. I would die before I left one of them behind. The other 3 squad members nodded in agreement. There was no doubt in their faces. They meant every word. General Vexkarn wanted to test this further. Would you be willing to run another scenario? Something different? Of course, General. What did you have in mind? A combat rescue. One member of your team will be designated as wounded and unable to move. The other 3 must reach them and extract them while under heavy fire. It is one of our most difficult scenarios. Sam did not hesitate. We are ready, sir. The scenario was set up. Danny was designated as the wounded soldier. He was placed in a building surrounded by virtual enemy forces. Sam, Nina, and Ray had to reach him and get him out. The exercise began. Immediately, the 3 humans came under fire. They took cover and assessed the situation. Sam made quick hand signals. Nina nodded and began moving to flank. Ray provided suppressing fire. They fought their way forward. Every movement was coordinated. When one person moved, the others covered them. When they needed to reload, someone else was always shooting. They advanced steadily through overwhelming enemy fire. Sam reached Danny first. He immediately began treating the simulated wounds while Nina and Ray held off the enemy. Ray was hit by a training round and his vest marked him as wounded. Nina instantly adjusted, moving to cover Ray's position while still protecting Sam and Danny. Now there were 2 wounded, but the humans never panicked. Never considered retreat. Sam finished treating Danny and helped him up. Nina continued providing cover fire. Ray, even though marked as wounded, kept shooting at targets. They began fighting their way back out. Sam half-carried Danny. Nina led the way, clearing a path. Ray limped behind, covering their rear. It should have been impossible. 3 humans, 2 wounded, fighting against dozens of virtual enemies, but they made it. They reached the extraction point, all 4 of them together. Mission accomplished. When the scenario ended, the 4 humans collapsed on the ground. They were exhausted, but they were together. That seemed to matter more to them than anything else. The Psychological Warfare Center was located deep underground. Most visiting delegations avoided this section of the institute. The mental stress test conducted here broke even the strongest warriors. Commander Zixthor had been through these tests once during his own training. The memory still haunted him 30 years later. Today he returned with War Master Threk, Ambassador Kelvara, Science Elder Mortek, and General Vexkarn. They were accompanied by Mindkeeper Zareth, a member of the Shen species. The Shen were powerful telepaths, able to read surface thoughts and emotions. Zareth administered the psychological tests at the Institute. Major Kyle Stone met them at the entrance. He was a human psychological operations specialist. With him was Staff Sergeant Claire Bell, who taught survival and resistance training. Both looked serious but not nervous. "Good morning," Kyle said. "I understand you want to observe human psychological resilience training?" "If you are willing," Zixthor replied. "I must warn you, these tests are extremely difficult. Many warriors cannot complete them. Some suffer lasting psychological damage. You may withdraw at any time without shame." Kyle smiled. "Thank you for the warning, Commander. But we train for this kind of thing regularly. Sergeant Bell and I are both experienced instructors. We will be fine." Zareth stepped forward. His people had large heads and eyes that seemed to see through you. "Major Stone, I must explain what will happen. These tests attack the mind directly. Isolation, sensory deprivation, overwhelming stimulation, simulated interrogation. They are designed to break your mental defenses, to make you give up." "Are you certain you wish to proceed?" "Yes, sir," Kyle said firmly. "Part of our training involves resisting interrogation and psychological pressure. We have been through similar exercises before." "Very well," Zareth said. "We will begin with isolation chambers. You will be placed in complete darkness and silence for an extended period. Most species begin showing distress within 2 hours. The test continues until you choose to stop, or until we determine you are at risk of permanent harm." Kyle and Claire entered separate isolation chambers, the doors sealed with a heavy sound. The observers gathered in the monitoring room where they could track vital signs and brain activity. The first hour passed. Both humans remained calm. Their heart rates were steady. Brain activity showed they were awake and aware but not distressed. At 2 hours, most species would be showing signs of stress. Elevated heart rate, erratic brain patterns, the beginning of panic. The humans showed nothing. They might as well have been sleeping. "This is unusual," Zareth said. "They should be experiencing disorientation by now. The complete absence of stimulation is extremely disturbing to most minds." At 4 hours, Threk was impressed. "I lasted 3 hours when I took this test. I thought I was doing well. These humans make it look easy." At 6 hours, Zareth began to look concerned. "Their brain activity is fascinating. They are not sleeping. They are fully conscious, but they seem to be mentally occupied, like they are thinking about something complex." At 8 hours, General Vexkarn asked, "Can we communicate with them? Ask them what they are doing?" Zareth activated the communication system. "Major Stone, this is Mindkeeper Zareth. Can you hear me?" "Yes, sir, I hear you," Kyle's voice came back immediately. He sounded perfectly normal, not stressed or disoriented at all. "How are you feeling?" "Fine, sir. A bit bored, honestly, but fine." "Is the test continuing much longer?" "Bored." After 8 hours in complete isolation, the human was bored. "What have you been doing in there?" Zareth asked, genuinely curious. "Mental exercises, sir. I have been working through math problems in my head. Reviewing mission procedures. Planning future training schedules. Thinking about things I need to do when I get out. The usual. For humans, keeping your mind occupied for 8 hours in isolation was the usual." "Sergeant Bell," Zareth called to the other chamber. "Here, sir. Everything okay? How are you managing?" "Pretty well, sir. I have been doing meditation exercises. Breathing control. Mental mapping of places I have been. Trying to remember entire conversations from memory. It is actually quite relaxing." Relaxing. The test that broke most warriors was relaxing for humans. "You may exit the chambers," Zareth said. "This test is complete." The doors opened. Kyle and Claire walked out. They looked completely normal. Not tired. Not disoriented. Just normal. They blinked at the light for a moment, then smiled at the observers. "How did we do?" Claire asked. 8 hours, Zixthor said slowly. "You endured 8 hours of isolation without showing any signs of distress. Is that good?" Kyle asked. "I feel like I could have gone longer if needed." "The previous record was 5 hours, Threk said. and that warrior needed 3 days of recovery afterward. You two look like you just woke up from a nap. What is next? Claire asked. She actually seemed excited. The next test was sensory overload, the opposite of isolation. Loud noises, flashing lights, changing temperatures, strong smells all happening at once. The goal was to overwhelm the mind with too much information. Kyle and Claire entered the overload chambers. The test began. The noise was deafening. The lights were blinding. The temperature swung from freezing to burning. Smells ranged from pleasant to nauseating. Most warriors could only endure 30 minutes. After that, the mind simply shut down to protect itself. But the humans kept going. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. At 4 hours, their vital signs were elevated but stable. They were stressed but managing. At 6 hours, they were still functioning. Not well, but functioning. Zareth called a halt to the test. This is enough. They have proven their point. Kyle and Claire emerged. This time they looked tired. The test had affected them. But they were still standing. Still aware, still ready to continue if needed. That was intense, Kyle admitted. Much harder than isolation. How did you endure it? Mortek asked. Mental compartmentalization, Claire explained. We learned to separate our mind into sections. Part of my mind noticed the noise and lights. But I did not let that part control me. I focused on other things. Counting, breathing, remembering peaceful places. You learn to process the chaos without being overwhelmed by it. You can control your mind that precisely? Kelvara was amazed. With training, yes, Kyle said. The human mind is complex. Chaotic, really. But that chaos can be managed if you learn how. We spend years learning mental discipline. It is as important as physical training for soldiers. The final test was simulated interrogation. This was the most difficult of all. Psychological pressure, threats, mind games. The interrogator tried to break your will, make you give up information, make you doubt yourself. Zareth himself would conduct the interrogation. As a telepath, he could sense surface thoughts and emotions. This made him extremely effective at finding weaknesses and exploiting them. I must warn you, Zareth said to Kyle. I will be reading your thoughts during this exercise. I will know your fears, your doubts, your weaknesses. I will use all of them against you. It will not be pleasant. I understand, sir, Kyle replied. I am ready. The interrogation began. Zareth started with simple questions. Kyle answered some, refused to answer others. Then Zareth tried to read Kyle's mind deeper. He reached out with his telepathic senses and touched Kyle's consciousness. Zareth recoiled immediately. His eyes went wide with shock. What is wrong? General Vexkarn asked with concern. Zareth took a moment to compose himself. The human mind. It is like nothing I have ever encountered. So loud, so chaotic. Thousands of thoughts all happening at once. Memories mixing with imagination, mixing with analysis. And walls. Mental walls everywhere. Compartments within compartments. I cannot read him clearly. Is this normal for humans? Sixthor asked. It must be, Zareth said. But it makes telepathic interrogation nearly impossible. Usually I can see thoughts clearly. With humans, it is like trying to hear one conversation in a room where thousands of people are all talking at once. And the Major is trained to resist. His mental defenses are formidable. The interrogation continued for 3 hours. Zareth tried every technique he knew. Threats, deception, confusion, appeals to emotion. Nothing worked. Kyle remained calm and resistant. He gave nothing away. Finally, Zareth stopped the test. I cannot break him. His mind is too well defended. Even my telepathy provides little advantage. Humans are naturally resistant to mental intrusion. Kyle stood up and shook Zareth's hand. Thank you for the exercise, sir. That was excellent training. You found several weaknesses in my defenses that I need to work on. Weaknesses? Zareth looked confused. I could barely read you at all. You were able to sense my emotional responses to certain questions. That gave you information about what mattered to me. A skilled interrogator could use that. I need to better control my emotional reactions. The observers gathered in a conference room to discuss what they had witnessed. No one spoke for a long time. They were all trying to process the implications. I have administered these tests for 30 years, Zareth finally said. I have tested thousands of individuals from hundreds of species. No one has ever performed like the humans did today. Their mental resilience is extraordinary. Why? Zixthor asked. What makes human minds so resistant? May I offer a theory? Mortek asked. When the others nodded, he continued. Human minds evolved to handle complexity. Earth was The Grand Observation Deck was the highest point at the Galactic Combat Institute. From here, you could see the entire training complex spread out below. Every field, every building, every training ground. This was where important ceremonies took place, where visiting dignitaries gathered to witness history. Today, the deck was crowded. Representatives from dozens of species had come. Word had spread across the galaxy about the humans, about their incredible capabilities, about their refusal to quit. Everyone wanted to see for themselves. Commander Zixthor stood at the front with War Master Threk, Ambassador Kelvara, Science Elder Mortek, and General Vex Karn. They had spent a week observing humans, learning about them, testing them. Now it was time to make their official assessment. But first they would watch one final time. Below them, on the main training field, human soldiers conducted their morning routine. The same routine they had been doing every day for the past week. Running in full gear, obstacle courses, squad drills, combat simulations. Nothing special, nothing extraordinary, just humans being humans. Except now the observers understood what they were seeing. They knew about Earth's 1.2 gravity. They knew humans were carrying extra weights to simulate home conditions. They knew about persistence hunting and pack tactics. They knew about mental fortitude forged in millennia of human versus human warfare. What had seemed strange a week ago now made perfect sense. And what made sense was terrifying in its implications. The crowd fell silent as they watched. No one spoke. They just stared at the humans training below, doing impossible things, making it look easy. Smiling while doing it, General Vex Karn stepped forward to address the assembly. His voice carried across the observation deck. I have served in the military for 200 years. I have commanded fleets in dozens of campaigns. I have studied warfare for twice that long. I thought I understood what made warriors effective. I thought I had seen the limits of what living beings could achieve. He paused, letting his words sink in. This week has taught me I was wrong. He gestured toward the training field below. Humans are not the strongest species. Krathians are stronger. Humans are not the fastest. Belkari are faster. Humans are not the most intelligent. Talvorn have greater capacity for strategic thinking. But humans possess something that no other species has, something that makes them more dangerous than any warrior I have ever encountered. They never quit. They never stop. They evolved on a death world that tried constantly to kill them. Every challenge made them stronger. Every hardship made them more determined. They survived by refusing to die, by refusing to accept defeat, and that trait, that fundamental aspect of human nature is now woven into every cell of their bodies, every thought in their minds. The crowd listened in absolute silence. General Vex Karn continued, but here is what troubles me most. Everything we have seen this week, humans call it basic training. What breaks our finest warriors they consider normal. What we see as extraordinary they see as adequate. They are not trying to impress us. They are not showing off. This is simply who they are. A Krathian warrior in the crowd stepped forward. It was Commander Zixthor's turn to speak. He approached the general and did something unprecedented. He bowed, not a slight nod. A full formal bow of respect. General, you speak truth. I came here to assess if humans were worthy of joining our community. I have learned the question was backwards. The question is whether we are ready for humanity, whether we can accept allies who make us look weak by comparison, not because they mean to, but because they come from a world that made them into something beyond what we thought possible. Jake Morrison and Lisa Grant had been standing quietly at the side of the observation deck. They had been invited to the ceremony but had not expected to speak. Now Jake stepped forward, looking uncomfortable with the attention. General Commander, with respect, I think you are giving us too much credit. Yes, Earth is a difficult world. Yes, humans train hard, but we are not special. We are just people trying to do our jobs the best way we know how. Every species has strengths. We have ours. You have yours. Different does not mean better. Ambassador Kelvara approached Jake. Her silver skin seemed to glow in the morning sun. Lieutenant Morrison, your humility is admirable. But I must tell you something. I have studied galactic history for 100 years. I have read accounts of thousands of species. I have seen patterns in how civilizations develop, how they respond to challenges, how they interact with others. She turned to face the crowd. Humans are unique. Not because they are stronger or faster or smarter, but because of how they evolved. Most species evolved on relatively gentle worlds. Moderate gravity, manageable predators, stable climates. These species developed civilization through cooperation and peace. A few species evolved on harsher worlds. They became aggressive, warlike, short-lived. But humans evolved on a death world and became something different. They developed cooperation like peaceful species. They learned warfare like aggressive species. They gained endurance like no other species. They are cooperative warriors, peaceful fighters, friendly survivors. It is a combination we have never seen before. War Master Threk added his voice. I have trained warriors for 40 years. I thought I understood combat. I thought I knew what made soldiers effective. Then I watched Lieutenant Morrison's team run 25 miles before breakfast. I watched Captain Carter break obstacle course records while wearing weighted vests. I watched Major Stone resist interrogation that should have broken him within hours. And do you know what the humans said after each of these achievements? They apologized. They said they could do better. They asked for harder challenges. They treated accomplishments that we would celebrate for years as simple daily tasks. A voice came from the crowd. A young Velsharan student who had been training at the Institute. Master Threk, should we be afraid of humans? Are they dangerous to us? Threk considered the question carefully. That depends. Are they capable of harm? Absolutely. Could they defeat most species in combat? Almost certainly. But are they a threat? I do not believe so. I have spent time with humans. Talked with them. Trained alongside them. They are not aggressive. They seek peace and cooperation. They genuinely want to be part of the galactic community. But, he continued, his voice serious, I would not want humans as enemies. They smile while doing things that would kill most of us. They laugh during training we consider torture, not because they want to intimidate us, but because for them it really is that easy. They do not understand how different they are, how much their world shaped them into something extraordinary. Lisa spoke up. If I may address the concern about danger. Humans have been dangerous to ourselves for thousands of years. We fought countless wars against each other, killed millions of our own people, did terrible things in the name of various causes. But we learned from that, we grew. Modern humans understand the cost of war. We seek peace because we know what violence truly means. We have inflicted it on ourselves for too long. The traits that make us seem dangerous, our endurance, our determination, our refusal to quit, these same traits make us valuable allies. We do not abandon friends. We do not give up on our commitments. When we promise something, we keep that promise, even if it costs us dearly. That is also part of being human. Science Elder Mortek stepped forward. I have studied human biology extensively this week. I have learned things that fascinate me. Human adaptability is remarkable. But what interests me most is not just their bodies. It is how their bodies and minds work together. Humans push their physical limits because their minds refuse to accept those limits. Most species quit when their body says stop. Humans continue because their mind says keep going. This creates a fascinating cycle. The mind pushes the body adapts and becomes stronger. The mind then pushes harder. The body adapts again. Humans are constantly evolving, constantly improving, constantly refusing to accept current limitations. It is beautiful from a scientific perspective, and terrifying from a practical one. Jake looked at the crowd of observers, at the warriors from dozens of species, at beings who had come from across the galaxy to witness this moment. He felt the weight of their attention, the significance of this ceremony. I want to say something, Jake began quietly. Humans are grateful for this opportunity, to train here, to learn from all of you, to be considered for membership in the Galactic Council. We know we are newcomers. We know we have much to learn. We do not seek to dominate or control. We seek to contribute, to help where we can, to learn where we must. We understand we are different. Earth made us different. But different does not have to mean separate. Different can mean complementary. Humans have strengths. You have strengths. Together we can accomplish more than any of us could alone. That is what we hope for. Partnership, friendship, a shared future. General Vexkarn nodded approvingly. Well spoken, Lieutenant. And I believe I speak for everyone here when I say that humanity is welcome among us. More than welcome, needed. The galaxy faces many challenges, many threats. Having humans as allies makes us all stronger, safer, better prepared for whatever comes. Ambassador Kelvara produced a formal document. By the authority granted to me by the Galactic Council, I hereby extend